Greetings, pet lovers. Bridget here with First Street Pets, and I'm here to tell you that I retired and sold my pet sitting business. So to get to the end, we have to start at the beginning. I started my professional pet sitting and dog walking career in San Francisco in 1994. It was a very different world back then. There was no internet. I actually found the ad for the job in a newspaper and worked for my boss in San Francisco for about a year before starting my own business in San Mateo. Back in the 90s, there wasn't a whole lot of competition, and this was mostly an urban profession. Picture the stereotypical guy walking through New York with like 20 dogs. That's what people thought of in those days when they thought of a pet sitter or dog walker. And sure, some people use the services of a friend or neighbor, but if you were going to hire someone, you went to one of the professional companies which were available at the time, like the one that I owned. I owned and ran a successful business in San Mateo County, and in my best years, I was actually making over $100,000 walking dogs and pet sitting. Now, there were a lot of factors here. The stars were kind of lined up for me at the time. That area was really growing at the time, especially due to the .com boom. All the tech companies were coming in and starting, so there was an influx of new residents. People had a lot of money, they were very busy, and they all had pets. So I'm not saying it wasn't difficult to run a business, it always is, but there was a lot of opportunity in that place and at that time. Eventually, I sold that business, lived for some time in Santa Clara County, where I did a little bit of pet sitting on the side, and then moved to Sonoma County, where I currently reside. By the time I got here in the 2010s, pet sitting just seemed to be much less of a lucrative business. A lot had changed since the 90s. Unfortunately, myself and my colleagues, we worked very hard to promote the professionalism of our industry and let people understand the difference between hiring a licensed, insured professional or using the kid next door. And for the most part, we got our point across and things were working out well. But then the internet came around, and all of a sudden you had Rover and Wag, and that changed everything. I can't knock them because it's not against the law to start any kind of a business that you want, including a business that will compete with and put other companies out of business. The problem I have with these platforms is that they really have an unfair advantage because they pay their gig workers very little. Pet sitters and dog walkers who use these apps tend to price themselves very low to try to compete with others in what they call a race to the bottom. If someone else is charging $20, you charge $15, and then the next guy is going to charge $10, until you have a lot of people working for much less than minimum wage. And of course, there's no way that someone running a legal business can compete with someone offering those rock bottom prices when you have a business license and you're paying taxes and you have insurance and you have to hire people according to state laws and pay them fairly. You just can't compete with those companies. But I digress. I don't want to rant on about the apps. So I ran my business in Sonoma County for a little over a decade, but it never was quite full-time like it was in San Mateo. The gig workers aside, I think the culture and economic situation has just changed. Back then, very few people wanted your dog to go to their home. It was either you dropped in and did visits, or you spent the night and pretty much lived at their house while they were out of town. But in today's world, like 9 out of 10 calls, people want to drop their pets off at your house. So that is the current expectation, and it's not what most professional pet sitters want to do. I never wanted other people's dogs at my house for a lot of reasons. Not the least of which is that it's not legal in most areas to run a kennel in your home. Although people do it, that's up to them, but it wasn't something that I wanted to do with my business. In 2023, I started a dog grooming business and actually opened up a brick and mortar location, and it took off like wildfire. I was so happy to find a career where I could provide great service to my community and also make a good living. So after a year of juggling both businesses, I realized I couldn't do it anymore. As they say, you can only serve one master. So I decided to sell the pet sitting business and retire from pet sitting for good. I didn't want to just walk away and leave my clients hanging that I had been serving for years. So I kind of made a plan on what to do with my business. Now, pet business coach Kristen Morrison has some good information about this on her website, and also a recorded webinar, which I will link in the description. I watched the webinar and I found it to be very helpful in my process of selling my business, both currently and back when I sold mine in San Mateo. The first thing I did was speak with my staff because I wanted to be transparent about what was going to happen. And I offered if they might be interested in taking over the business, and they weren't. So I also spoke to another colleague who was just kind of starting a little pet sitting business on the side, and I thought she might want to buy an existing business to just kind of jump right into it, and she did. So we went forward with the steps to make that happen. I felt good about handing my clients over to someone that I know and trust, and I was really looking forward to that last day when I would no longer have to worry about constantly checking my schedule or having to do those early morning or late evening visits, or not being able to take a day off, and all the things that go along with being a professional pet sitter and being responsible for the lives of all these animals in other people's homes. Once the deal was done, I updated my staff, and to be completely honest with you, those conversations did not go well. That surprised me, but I guess it just is kind of a reminder that you don't really know what people are thinking, and maybe they thought I was just kind of talking about this and it wasn't actually going to happen. But once the deal was done, they weren't happy about it and had a lot of questions, had a lot of concerns. I guess I felt that I'd been transparent in the process, but maybe either I wasn't, or they just had a different idea of how this was going to play out. One staff member sat down with me and expressed a desire to continue working with what she considered were her clients. This is a thing that happens a lot when you, the owner, are not serving those clients all the time. The clients kind of bond with the sitter, and the sitter starts getting a proprietary feeling about clients, believing that they're their clients. I explained to her that these were actually the clients of the company, and I no longer own the company. So if she wants to talk to the new owner and maybe offer to work for her, that might be something she could work out. Unfortunately, she did something unethical and went behind both of our backs and solicited those clients. So that effectively ended our relationship. And apparently this is a thing that happens because I know other pet sitters who've had the same problem, whether it was when that person left the business to start their own business or whatever. It does happen that sitters will solicit clients and sometimes be successful in those efforts, and largely there's nothing you can do about it. This experience for me was a good reminder that your staff are not your friends, and you can have a good, friendly relationship, but even though you do your best to communicate and be transparent, you have no control over how other people are going to feel or react to your choices and your actions in your business. So selling the business, the transition was a lot more stressful than I anticipated. I thought I had it all figured out, but there were so many details, just turning everything over to the new owner, the client's information, the software system that I used, and scheduling, as I mentioned, the conversations with staff, the conversations with clients who were concerned about somebody they didn't know. And there was also my own acceptance of the fact that I was letting go of a business model that I had been engaging in more or less for 30 years. So while I was looking forward to no longer being in that business, it was something that was always there for me, that I always kind of fell back on as I was between other jobs or doing whatever I was doing. But I was actually making a decision now to end that forever. Time heals many things, transitional stress included, so after a while, all these things passed and I moved on with my life. What was super helpful for me was, of course, having another business to run. So I didn't really have a lot of time and energy to be sad or reminisce. I had to focus on my new business and moving forward with that. So here's some takeaways that I'd like to pass on to you if you're thinking of moving out of your current pet business. Number one, I think, is to make an exit plan before you get overwhelmed or before you get burned out. I'm on a lot of message boards and groups and whatnot with groomers and pet sitters and other pet professionals, and a lot of people are just burned out to the point where they're losing clients, where they don't want to work anymore, and that you've gone too far at that point. Make an exit plan before you get overwhelmed, before you don't want to do it anymore. That way your business is in good condition, you're providing good service to your clients, and you have something that has value to sell to another business owner. Keep good records so that your business is valuable. I have heard stories from folks who wanted to buy a business or wanted to sell a business, but they didn't have good records. And you can claim all you want how much money you're making, but if you don't have documentation of that and how many clients you have and how your business is run, there's really nothing to sell. You're just making claims that may or may not be true. So having written records, preferably in a software program, are very important to passing your business along to another owner. It's very important to make decisions and to follow through with them. Don't be wishy-washy about this. Once you make up your mind, set dates, set a timeline, and follow through. It'll make it easier for you, for your clients, and for the new owner. Here's an important thing. Learn to let go. That can be hard. Entrepreneurs can be a little controlling because this is your baby and you've been running this thing forever, but you're selling it because you want to move on, you want to retire, you want to do something else with your life. Learn to let go. You may want to provide a little bit of support to the new owner, but I would say no more than 30 days. Make sure that person is set up for success, and then let them do what they want to do. It's up to them now, and you're going to move on with whatever else you're doing with your life. Another critical factor is have other work to move into. So many people fantasize about what they're going to do in retirement. They're going to learn how to play a guitar. They're going to go on a cruise. They're going to do this and that and the other. But I'm here to tell you, do those things now. Do what you want to do whenever you want to do it. Or if you have to save money or plan to take time off, do that. There's no reason to wait until retirement. I've known a lot of people who retired and nothing changed. There's no magic that happens the day after you retire. So more than likely, if you don't have anything else to do, you'll be bored, you'll be restless, and you can only entertain yourself or clean the house or, do busy work for so long. So plan on some other work to do, whether it's starting another business, if you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you want to get out of the more physical work, but you want to write, you want to teach, you want to do something online. Have a plan for what you're going to do next so you can keep busy and keep your mind and body active. Keeping busy and providing service of some kind to your community benefits everyone. Have you retired from your pet business? Are you thinking about retiring or selling your business? I would love to hear about it in the comments. Thank you for watching.